There's a few firsts this week. It's a little bit warmer, so I'm wearing a t-shirt. How do you like my t-shirt? I'm wearing headphones because I want to monitor the sound of the video that we're going to watch. And the video that we're going to watch is by a subscriber and YouTuber, Facebooker, Andrew Jaworski, and he's playing on a 7-foot table. I don't think I've featured a 7-foot table on the Rack of the Week. I like this run because of his break shot and his pattern and a recovery shot. So it's going to be interesting. Normally, I wouldn't feature a 7-foot table, but 7-foot tables are okay, especially Andrew's, because those are tight pockets, brother. Take a look at that side pocket. Look at how tight that is. You're not going to be cutting the ball into that side pocket with speed and an angle. It's because it won't go. Anyway, if you look on my YouTube channel, you will find some videos of me playing straight pool on 7-foot tables. I have a 99 ball run on a Diamond Smart table, and I think it's a 130 some ball run on a Valley bar table. Now, Valley bar tables, I'd stay away from them. Those pockets are pretty darn sloppy. But a Diamond Smart table plays like a pool table. So you can play some good straight pool on that and learn some things from that. I always say you got to go to the 9-foot table because that's real straight pool. But there's no reason why you can't play on a 7-foot table. And especially with tight pockets like Andrew's, you got to play. You can't just be slopping balls around. So you're going to be playing strategy very much like you would on a 9-foot table. Let's take a look at Andrew's run. I'll hit play here. This is the end of the previous rack, and he's in real good shape here. He's going to use this ball as a break ball, and so he's going to just come out, and he doesn't quite come far enough, so there's a little bit of trouble here, which leads to an interesting break shot. So I'm sure that he wanted his cue ball to come over here, so he just had like this angle, because then it's easy to draw the cue ball over here. Slow down, Andrew. Or even with this angle, you could also go forward and go like this. I think the space is too tight on a 7-foot table to do that. I think the right shot is the one that Andrew chooses, but he's got too much angle. Now he's got to draw the cue ball and miss his break ball and get to the rail with a lot of right English, and that right English should spin the cue ball back up. And if you look at the shot line of the pocket, when that right English acts, there's no way that you're going to cross the shot line, so you're going to have an angle on your break shot. So it's just understrokes it just a little bit. It's easy to overdo, so you don't want to overstroke it. But it's a little light and doesn't quite get a favorable bump. Now, he's got to break the rack from here, and I covered this a little bit in my book, and I think I've talked about it on this channel before. How do you judge these really thin break shots? I think a lot of times you might look at this and say, well, I got to play safe. That's not cuttable. But what you want to do is look at 90 degrees. Here's the shot line. What are you going to do? He says. And you want to look at 90 degrees from the ghost ball. And what I'm looking for is, if your cue ball's on that line, that's 90 degrees. If you're 1 ball diameter away from a ball that's on the line, it's cuttable. Actually, if the edge of your cue ball is on that 90-degree line from the ghost ball, that's cuttable. But it's not very easy. It's kind of a trick shot. But if your cue ball is more than a ball diameter away, and his is like 1.5 ball diameters away, it's definitely cuttable. It may not look like it, but set up these lines and put a cue ball that's a little bit farther over, and it may not look like it'll go, but it will go. Now he's trying to keep a run going, so he's going to shoot this. I think this is at the extreme. I want my cue ball over here, 2 ball diameters, and then I'll cut that during a match. But if you're trying to keep a run going, heck, go for it. And I think that's what he says. He says, go for it. Watch the cue ball. He goes, oh, wow. Yeah, you can't believe it. It went, but it goes, and he got a bonus ball, too. But if you notice, the cue ball hit the rack, and it literally curved forward and away from his ball. That ball's going to be moving really slowly to the pocket because you're cutting it so thin. And so that cue ball curved and it got out of the way, so it didn't knock it out of the way. Now, I like what Andrew's doing here. He's looking.
If you get to this window for the 3, that would be so sick. I got a window for the 4 as well and the 13.
So I think you can hear that. A window for the 3, and he talked about a window for the 4 and a shot on the 13. In other words, this is where he wants to get his cue ball, and that's smart. That's really smart. What you're looking at now is paths to pockets. So he's using an AccuRite rack type rack, so he's got those donuts. So the ball's opened really well, and no two balls are touching. So you'd like to try and run this rack without bumping into any balls, and that's what he's thinking about. So that's smart straight pool. It may not be possible, and it's okay to nudge a ball a little bit, but he's trying to figure a way to get to one of these windows and clear the balls that are blocking other balls. So the 3 is definitely a blocker ball for the 1. The 6 ball is trapped. So you've got to find a way to maneuver around here. And there's no one way to do it. So there's different ways that you can approach this. Then the other thing that Andrew does, which I like, is this. He's got a ball, an up table ball, which on a 7-foot table, there really is no up table. But technically, it's an up table ball, and he's leaving it there as an insurance ball, and that plays an important role later on in the rack. So what he decides is to make this easy shot in the side pocket and give himself an angle on this to come around the 3 ball. That's a good plan. So some right English to spin that down and around. Now from here, he could have ended up with different shots. As it is, he has a few different shots. So So Andrew's a little bit statuesque here, because obviously the 3 ball's the easiest shot. But it may be advantageous to shoot this ball first, come up and bump this ball gently, and make it into another possible break ball. You've got a break ball with the 8, and that's just fine. But one thing I remember, one quote from John Schmidt is, "You can never have too many break balls." It just gives you tons of options. So by walking around, I would have walked this way around the table, because then you're looking at all these different angles as you go. You might still end up shooting the 3 ball, I don't know, but at least you're looking. It really helps. And historically I've had not been in a good habit of doing that, and I'm getting much better at it. Even from here, he might choose to shoot the 14 or the 9. It depends. But there's lots of ways to go about it. I don't remember what he does. Oh yeah, I remember what he does. So he decides, now he's walking around. Applaud you, Andrew. Good job. And he's taking a look. If I just shoot a stop shot, what does that give me? You can shoot the 2. He wants to get on this. He's talking about getting on the 7, and he ends up spinning forward to get on the 7. Nothing wrong with that. One thing that I might have considered from here is, I talked about shooting the 5 and bumping this ball. You might shoot the 3 and bump the 1 up into the 8. You need to do it hard enough so that you get some separation. But then you're replacing the 1 ball with the 8, or you're replacing the 8 with the 1 as a potential break shot. But what you're doing is you're immediately clearing a path to the pocket for the 6. So that's something that some straight pool players might choose. You don't have to. I'm just presenting that as yet another option. Andrew decides to go this way. So this is following the philosophy that says I want to run these balls without bumping another ball, and that's a good idea as well. More than one way to approach this. I like what Andrew does here, because a lot of people might say, oh, I'm going to play position here for the 4 or the 2. But he plays short side position for the 12, and that's smart. I always talk about top down, so he's getting kind of towards the top balls to go down, and that's a good thing. From here, you could also shoot this 9 and do something else, but this is okay. What I don't like, and this causes him a little bit of trouble, is, remember I said earlier, the rack analysis right after the break shot? The 6 ball's trapped. So all the balls were open after the break shot, and you don't have a trouble ball, but if there is a trouble ball on the table right after the break shot, like I mentioned, it's this 6. It's trapped. You want to get at your trapped balls either by clearing a path for it or by bumping it to where it is open. So that causes him a little bit of trouble here in a moment. But I like how he's working the rack. And he decides, he looked at shooting the 14 right now. And I would have shot the 14. Once again, top down. You know, he's going to shoot the 2 instead. But I think it's smarter to go top down. So from where he was, I would have shot the 14. The reason why is you can shoot the 14 and slide up a little bit. That way, no matter what happens, you have a shot on that 2. But if you get the cue ball clear, you can shoot the 1 ball. And then you can bring your cue ball around the 4. Now your 6 is open. See what I'm saying? So top down is, look for those top down approaches. You're going to get through your ball, through your open racks a little bit easier. Anyway, he plays short side position again, and I like that. From the way from the order he's choosing to go through these, this is excellent. Short side position in the 1, and then so finally the 1 ball is going to be gone, and that's going to open up the pocket for the 6. Then here's where the mistake comes in. And I like his thought process, but what I would have done one of 2 things. I would either have played a stop shot or stun forward half a ball for the 14 in the side, because then you've got something that's sure, a sure thing. What Andrew tries to do is, I think what he tries to do is stun the cue ball up here for the 6, short side 6 in the corner here. And that's probably the worst choice. The second choice that I would do is shoot this 1 and follow forward to here. Because now you've got the 14 in the side, the 9 in the corner, or if you need to, shoot the 10. But any of those are better, because once the 1's gone, the 9 and the 14 both go in that pocket. So think about your possibilities later on. So he's just playing the cue ball a little bit too tight here. See?
Oh, wow.
And he's frozen behind the 8. Now, this happens a lot. You say, oh, I messed up my position. Well, yeah, you messed up your position. If you had played your position right, the cue ball would have been here and you would have been okay. You would have gotten out cleanly. But it's not that you messed up your position. It's that you made, you chose a positional route that wasn't the most optimal. So it's always good to think about the source of the error, not the direct result of the error. Really dig down and find the source. All right, anyway. Now he pulls out a fantastic recovery shot. 2 rails to make his insurance ball. Awesome shot. He even said awesome shot. Now I want to point something out. I mentioned that ball was going to come in handy. Imagine if Andrew had shot that 10 ball in early. And then later on stuck himself here. What's he going to do now? So it helps. Those insurance balls, that was a safety outlet for later in the rack. You don't always need it, but when you need it, boy, you're glad that it's there. So now it's an easy process. Like you can shoot the 6 or the 14. Either one will work. I can't quite tell yeah. I like what he's doing. Yeah, that's good. So 6, 9. You want to use the 9 as the key ball because it's above. You wouldn't have to. You could play the 9 first, play position for the 9, and then get this angle on the 6 to stun up here for the break shot. But I like this too. Now it's interesting what happens here because Andrew's on a 7-foot table. But take a look. Here's the shot line to the pocket for the 9. You want to get as close to straight in as you can, because if you're straight in, you just follow forward, and that's easy to get on your break shot. But if you come above the shot line, not too far now, just a little bit above, you can go to the rail with left English and spin out to the same point. What you don't want to do is end up on this side, which is the side he got in, because if you end up on this side, you either got to float forward and you end up way far away from your break shot, or you have to do what Andrew does, which is 2 rails out of the corner. Now, he's on a 7-foot table, so it's tighter quarters, and he can play this route with more accuracy than we could on a 9-foot table. But think about that. And he doesn't show I'd like to see him shoot this 8-ball break shot, but he doesn't. The video cuts off. So let's go back over here. And let's take a look at this. Because this comes up. Oop, there we go. This comes up on a 9-foot table all the time. Shot line to the 9. And now he's not quite straight, but he's got to maybe cheat it a little and stun it a little to bring the cue ball over here. What I like doing is going off the rail, because here's your shot line. So you can pick this point on the rail, and then you want to stun the cue ball to that, below that point, with right, in this case it would be right English. And then you have a better chance of getting on that line. The way that Andrew shot it, he tried to stun it the distance that he needed to get to that point, and he fell short. But if he had stunned it on the same line with right English, then he wouldn't have had to shoot the fancy shot for the key ball. Hope that made sense. Listen to this.
I'm not gonna lie, that could be the rack of the week for Bob Keller. That was pretty sick.
That was pretty sick. Now, I'm not going to promise that if you mention Bob Keller or rack of the week in your video, I'll put you on the rack of the week. Nuh-uh. It's got to be a good rack with some teaching moments in it, which this definitely was. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate your willingness to be exposed on the channel. Check out Andrew Worski on YouTube and Facebook, you guys. Give him a like and a subscribe. And thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of that. I enjoyed it. Hope you did. And see you next week on Rack of the Week. Bye.